Chronicles and Nerds, Mikey and Brandon here with Tommy Tallarico.
Where? Oh my god, that's me.
First off, you've been in the video game industry for...
How old are you guys?
26.
25.
25. So when you guys were 5 years old.
I've heard about 20 some years or so,
Yeah.
which is an extremally great career.
And I look so young.
Why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about Video Games Live, how that got started, and kind of, your story on that.
Well, I've been a game composer for 20 years, and the reason I started Video Games Live is I really wanted to prove to the world how culturally significant and artistic video games have become. So I wanted to create a show not just for the hardcore gamers like us, but a show for everyone. I wanted somebody to be able to walk in who's never ever played or picked up a video game and have them walk out going with a whole new respect for games. You're going to see in the audience, you're going to see parents, you're going to see moms in their 50s, you're going to see grandmothers bringing their grandkids, you're going to see a lot of women and females and folks like that. We took all of the cool things that we're into and combined it with a symphony. So Video Games Live isn't just a symphony on stage playing video game music, but what makes it really unique and special is that everything is completely synchronized to massive video screens, special effects, synchronized rock and roll lighting, a stage show production, interactive elements with the crowd. So a lot of the people, half the audience who are coming here tonight are coming here because they go to the symphony all the time or because they're bringing their kids. Half those people don't know how cool Final Fantasy music is, or how great Warcraft is, or Halo, or Kingdom Hearts, or Metal Gear Solid, or whatever. So they're going to come out of this show going like, holy crap, I never realized that video game music was this powerful and emotional. I never knew that the characters and the storylines and the graphics were so intense. I get it now. Now I know why my kids are so much into video games. And that was really the main goal behind designing the show and what makes Video Games Live different from anything else that's out there.
So for some of our viewers at home, they may not be familiar with all of your work. Do you want to list off a few of your big ones? Like your favorite ones?
From the older days, games like on the Sega Genesis, games like the Terminator, Cool Spot, Global Gladiators, Aladdin, and probably Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 was probably a bigger one. Those were all stuff in the early 90s. You get to the mid-90s, games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the Unreal franchise, to stuff Unreal 2, Unreal Tournament. Later into games like Spider-Man on the PlayStation, the James Bond stuff, the Madden football franchise in the mid-90s. Getting more towards 2000 and beyond, games like Metroid Prime, working with Miyamoto was an honor. Advent Rising, although the game tanked and didn't sell well, people like that score.
Still sounds beautiful, that's for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's been a bunch of stuff on there, 275 games. I can't even remember them all. But hey, mixed in there was a lot of pigs too. So I didn't jump quick and so much and say, oh yeah, Color the Dinosaur on the NES. Didn't hear me. Wasn't bragging about that one.
So what do you feel as your part when you're composing this music for these games?
Well, I think the game music is 1/3 of the game. I think there's three main elements that make up a video game. There's the audio and the sound effects, the voices, the audio that you hear, music, sound effects. That's 1/3. 1/3 is the visuals, the graphics, the animation, all that. And then 1/3 is the design, the gameplay, and the interactivity. Those are three elements. You have to have those three elements to make a video game. Even Pong had those three elements. It had sound, it had graphics, and it had gameplay. So to that regards, 1/3 of the game is the audio, and so it's a very important part, and that's what we've done with Video Games Live, is we've taken those three elements.
In all honesty, the most memorable stuff for me as far as games go is usually the music. I can tell the music from a game a lot faster than I'll be able to get a screenshot.
Well, one of the other interesting things too is you look at all the greatest game franchises, not the greatest selling ones, the greatest franchises of all time: Mario, Zelda, Final Fantasy, Warcraft, Halo, Metal Gear Solid, Tetris. And they all had one thing in common, didn't they?
Probably some of the most memorable soundtracks I've ever heard.
I think that clearly there's some correlation there, that in order to have the greatest selling game of all time, that the music is a very important element and has to be present to have a game sell crazy numbers, or to have that game get that perfect score. Audio is part of that, you know?
You know, a big thing about audio, and especially the composition of the audio in a lot of games nowadays, is you could take those soundtracks and straight put them in a film. I mean, and there are a lot of composers that work both ways, like Bill Conti, for example.
He did The Godfather and he did Rocky.
Yeah.
And the other way around too. Michael Giacchino, who's a great game composer, composes films for Disney like The Incredibles and Mission Impossible 3.
Like I was going to say, Bill Conti, he does the theme for World of Warcraft, does all the music for it.
I know you're a big fan of Uncharted.
Uncharted, the original one was my favorite game that year. Uncharted 2, so far this year, is my favorite game.
You kind of look like the hero.
I do.
Nathan Drake.
That's right. Yeah,
So,
okay. I'll go with that rumor.
Have you tried to rub some elbows to get to work on that game at all?
I just don't have the time to work on games anymore. I mean, I'll work on one or two smaller projects a year. I'm working the end of last year. Sega of Japan called me up and asked me if I could write music for the new Sonic the Hedgehog game, and I'm like, how do I pass that up? Sonic's a huge, their biggest franchise, and I'm a huge fan of the franchise. Although it's kind of gone downhill the last 10 years or so.
A little bit.
16.
A little bit. Come on, you're being kind.
16 minute up.
I'm just trying to. I am trying to.
You're trying to be political here.
Euphemisms here.
Yeah, no, but let's be honest. So for me, I was able to write 3 songs for Sonic and the Black Knight for the Wii. I'm working on another game called Flip's Twisted World for the Wii, which was a lot of they wanted a lot of type Earthworm Jim stuff that I had done 15 years earlier.
Love that game.
They kind of wanted that wacky melodic kind of thing, so I did some music in that style. We're doing 60 shows a year for Video Games Live now, so that game worked out for me because I was able, I told them, I said, look, here's my schedule, I can give you stuff here, and they're like, yeah, great, cool, so it worked out nice. So yeah, I've gone from doing like 10 or 15 games a year to like doing a couple songs for a couple games, so I did a couple TV shows, about video games over the last 10 years, and I did
on G4.
G4, we were on Discovery, there's a bunch of different stuff, and we don't say G4. That's a bad word. No. And I enjoyed doing that, but I stopped doing that because I needed to focus on Video Games Live. I just think it's as cool as the TV stuff was. This has such a bigger impact, I think, for the whole industry. So I enjoy doing this.
Final question for me is: you've been a big icon in the video game industry, especially over the last couple of years.
Well, not big because I'm very short. So I'm about 5'6".
Hey, you're a god. But what are some of your icons?
From a music composition standpoint, Beethoven's my hero. John Williams is my hero. In the video game industry, composers like Nobuo Uematsu and Koji Kondo, who did the Mario and Zelda stuff. Michael Giacchino's a great composer. Jason Hayes, who did the Warcraft stuff. So from a composition standpoint, and symphonic composition standpoint, those are up there. Jerry Goldsmith, a great film composer, who's no longer with us, but
he's done a lot of stuff.
Planet of the Apes, The Omen. His creativity is off the charts. From a guitar standpoint, though, guys like Eddie Van Halen. From a showman standpoint, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, whose real name is Steven Tallarico.
Really?
Yeah, he's my cousin. Yeah, his real name's Steven Tallarico. Yeah. There's so many different musical heroes that I have. I'm really all over the board. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I love bands like Pink Floyd and Boston and Styx and Van Halen and Journey and not afraid to admit it.
They're epic bands. They're
melodic, epic bands.
Well, thanks a lot for the interview, Tommy.
Appreciate it, guys.
And, we're gonna love the show, I'm sure.
Awesome. I hope so. Hey, this is video game composer and co-creator of Video Games Live, Tommy Tallarico, and you are watching Chronicle of the Nerds. Rock on.